All right, it's finally time to talk about the BLU Studio 6.0 LTE. This phone is actually way better than what I was expecting. Let's go ahead and start off with the build quality, or the look and feel, however you want to put it. The device looks great. It's a much more preferred look, as you guys will read in my review of this video. Please do check that out. It's not the most premium of looks, but it is a much more acceptable look than, say, my Z Max, which had the square, heavy build. With this, firm grip. I can reach up to my top area and slide and stuff like that. I don't have to work so hard when navigating around the UI and what have you, like I did with the Z Max. The display on the BLU Studio 6.0 LTE is a 6-inch HD IPS OGS display, 1080p if I haven't said that already, and it works. It looks great. Games look good, media content, everything looks great, except for the fact that when you're doing YouTube, it will still limit you to 720p on this phone. That is not a problem of the BLU. That is a problem of YouTube and how it determines which phones can actually do 1080p and which phones can't. Because apparently their algorithm has nothing to do with the native resolution of the actual phone itself. So it's really weird how they structure that. I did notice as I was using the phone throughout day-to-day tasks that it did get kind of warm towards the top area here. And I don't know, can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Towards the top area here. And I'm not sure why, but at least the warmth was away from my actual hand where I'm holding the phone. So it wasn't that big a deal. I don't have a heat gun or anything to show you, but just note that the phone does get warm. When you talk about the display, you gotta go ahead and talk about the actual software and the performance. The software on the phone is the 4.4.2 KitKat. The performance of the phone, when you combine the 2 gigs of RAM, the quad-core 1.6 gigahertz Snapdragon 400 Qualcomm CPU, the Adreno 305, I believe, GPU. If that is incorrect, I will notate the screen. But there is some lag as you're bouncing in and out of your notification bar and scrolling through your UI. But other than that, I was very, very satisfied with it. It is definitely a fast phone. It's definitely faster than the 5.5S. And thanks to the 16 gigs internal memory for storage built into this phone, it is a much better experience than the 5.5S, which only had 4 gigs internal storage, and you ran out of space really fast. Now, talking about the performance, you also have to talk about the battery life. The battery life for the BLU Studio 6.0 LTE was actually pretty good. Very, very big thanks to the 3200 milliamp hour battery that's inside. I'm guessing BLU thought ahead, and pretty much with a bigger display, HD, 1080p and all that stuff like that, you definitely got to have a much bigger battery to push it than you needed for the previous model, which only had a 720p display, or even for something like the Z Max, which has kind of an overkill battery because that only has a 720p TFT display as well. So it is definitely a needed battery. It's not over the top for this phone, but it was just right. I was able to get through 8 hours every day without any problems because of the battery life. I usually end the day somewhere around 20 or 30%. Now, if you crank it up to max brightness, you're definitely gonna kill this battery within about 5 hours or so. And that depends on how heavy a user you are. All right, we're gonna go ahead and talk about the sound quality, which is kind of an odd thing. A lot of people don't really think about sound. You guys know on the Z Max, I did talk about sound, and it was a very nice experience for the Z Max, thanks in part to the enhancement, the sound enhancement software, the Dolby Enhanced software app that came on there. For the BLU Studio 6.0 LTE, it wasn't as good an experience. Now, one thing I have to note is that my particular unit came with a defective head jack, and I am having a replacement sent right now. Now, the head jack didn't affect the overall sound because the head jack, what it was doing was it was cutting out at random. But all that aside, the sound on the phone through the rear speaker was actually very loud. Even with my hand covered, I still can hear everything quite clearly.
Perfectly captures my biggest gripe with this product. I'm sorry, available for purchase when? Yes, the most annoying thing about the Zen.
Now the sound through the headphone jack was rather low, and that also goes for the front earpiece as well. It was still rather low when it came to hearing phone calls. I kind of had to struggle to hear them even when I had the phone turned up to max. Through the headphone jack, once again, max audio, and still it sounded quite low, and it just wasn't good enough. When you're using decent headphones, you're probably going to want to have to download an app or something to help you out. Now, of course, let's talk about what has become an increasingly popular and important topic for phones nowadays, and that is the camera. Due to how quickly the camera has evolved on mobile phones over the past 2 years, you'll find yourself quite lacking with the 13 megapixel, which gives you this ugly hump on the back of the phone. It's not that ugly, but still. The 13 megapixel camera is that, once again, is much better than the older model, and it is better than the ZTZ Max, but it's still not quite that good. It's okay, it's decent. I do have, as you see on the screen right now, I got all kinds of pictures and video footage for you to check out, and I'm gonna just let the video roll right now on that video footage real quick. All right, here's a Selfie Cam Test, pretty much the front camera on the BLU Studio 6.0 LTE, just to let you guys see how it is, and yeah. So this is look at that. All right. The video does not have image stabilization. The colors could definitely be better outside, and low light performance is just all right. It really struggles in low light, and the 13 megapixels, even though it'd be bigger than the previous model, the 5.5S, it just made a bit of improvement, not that much. In the actual camera software, you have something that's really weird. Instead of like over in the Z Max, where you had a bunch of modes and they were kind of user-friendly, they had little funny pictures and things like that. With this camera mode, it's a lot more serious. It's devoid of all the little fancy colors and what have you. You get straight to the point, menus on top of menus for whatever you want to do. And a lot of those settings, if you're not a bit more than amateur in photography, you would actually struggle to figure out what the heck you do with those settings. Most people are not going to use most of the settings that the BLU Studio 6.0 actually gives you for the camera. I'm guessing if you knew how to work a lot of that, you probably could get more out of this, but I highly doubt it. I'm pretty sure most of those settings were pretty much just a waste, or just something to try to buff up the camera software to make you think it does more than it actually does. Now, into a conclusion on the BLU Studio 6.0 LTE phone. It is a decent phone, more than decent phone actually. If you need a phone that has a big screen, LTE, and performance, and also battery life on top of that, it's your phone. Now, if you need a phone that actually has a camera, or like a very good camera that can take shots both outside pretty good and even try to perform a little well in low light, this is not your phone. Also, if you are a person who cares about the specs and the latest and greatest and all that stuff like that, the specs in this phone is about 2 years old, somewhere around there. So yeah, that is also going to be another thing as well. If those two things are things that you care about, then you may not want to look elsewhere. All right, that is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out the website. I have made some changes to the website so that it now is more content oriented and puts the content in your face. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to enjoy the changes that you see when you go on there, so please do check it out. I will have a much more in-depth article on this phone on the website, so if you really want more details, maybe you want more pictures or video or something like that, then please check out the actual article. If you want a comparison between this phone and the Z Max phone, well, you're in luck. That video is going to be coming up very shortly after you see this one. So I will see you guys another time. You have a good one. Bye.